All right, describe the first week of having your first child.
Okay. Well, that was with Baxter, of course, and that was an arduous birth. Like everything about Baxter's been arduous and rewarding. But when we got him in the baby seat in the car to come home from the hospital, it was already a disaster. Like we didn't know how to put him in the baby seat really and lay him in there and get him home, which we did. We drove home and stuff. We are terrified every minute that he might break or die. And we got home. I know Grandma Eva was waiting when Cookie was born, but I don't know about Bax. I don't quite remember how we handled Bax that, but it's very possible. I don't think Eva was there, but we handled Bax. I'm going back because that was a different apartment than Cookie was born in, and on the same block, 3 doors away. But he, we had this problem. First of all, we slept with him in the same bed. And so that meant we were up most of the night because he'd wake up and he'd have to nurse and all that stuff. And at first, he wasn't nursing right, and Olivia had real problems with lactating or something, or the way Baxter was trying to nurse. And we finally got a lactation consultant to come over, which is a great specialty. And this woman kind of got things in order so that Baxter, the term, latched on correctly, and then started pumping the milk right, and then everything kind of came together because we thought he was going to starve to death and die in 2 days. And he, I don't know whether she adapted Olivia or Baxter, a little bit of both, but then he got sucking and drinking milk, and that was great. But we were basically terrified all the time that we would break him, roll over on top of him in bed. We would not hear him breathe for a second and wake up in a panic that he was going to die, which I think all parents do with their kids, even the third kid maybe. And but and then there were diapers, and we didn't do we had disposable diapers from the, but we weren't going to do disposables, but they gave them to you from the hospital. So after like a day and a half, those were gone, and then we started doing the Diety diapers, cotton diapers with pins. And it was so terrifying to put these pins in and not want to pin his skin, which we later in his life, we have pinned him a little bit, stuck a pin in him, but basically we raised him with cloth diapers. And Baxter was great. He took all of our time, and we hated being away from him. Olivia and I were both working freelance, so we'd have different jobs at different times. She was in catering, I was doing photography. So those hours away were almost agonizing because all we could wait to do was get back. And we were real nervous when we weren't with him, so it was a very, immature. We were very immature, even though Olivia was in her 20s and I was 30-ish. I don't think I think they need parents or supervision or mentors to make it a little easier. So
What were you nervous about?
just everything you had to do to handle the kid, was completely different. Like we went to Lamaze classes and Bradley classes and did all the breathing, birthing stuff and everything, and all this attention to a healthy pregnancy and everything like that, and nothing about what to do when you first have a kid at home. And somehow that would come through from the parents, in an ideal situation. But most kids these days don't even respect their parents, family skills or anything like that. So it's hard to say, but it was a big learning curve. But I can say that if I had any advice to give somebody having a new child, I would say that they are indestructible and you don't have to worry that much. And also I had this impression that when a kid is born, they're perfect. Like they are just totally connected with the wisdom of the universe, and everything they do is perfect, and that we little by little get screwed up psychologically in life and lose our connection to the truth and what's right and what you should do. And having a kid, two kids, and raising them, I found it's exactly the opposite. They're idiots. They don't know anything. We have to be the parents. You know, we can't be listening to them for these slight murmurs of this connection to God and the universe and everything that's right. No, we have to be stronger and more solid in ourselves to raise the kids well, because they are pliable rubber bands, you know, or something like that, growing into a structure that of society, and that's not bad. Originally, I thought that was bad, but I thought that kids were born with this innate wisdom, and if you just let them alone and let them grow, they'd be perfect. And I think there's a balance between parents have to be a little more decisive and provide a strong structure for kids to grow in, and then their individual personalities will always exist no matter what you do, good parenting or bad. So one last thing I'll add, because I get tired of talking, is that every kid has a distinct personality right from the start, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even their births are distinct and different and part of their personalities, and you can't change that. In families that have the same parents, having kids back to back, each one is completely different, even with the same upbringing. So finding those kids, finding what's special about them, and encouraging the growth of their strengths is really important as a parent. So with Baxter, anyway, having him was great and uplifting and amazing.